All right, today we are diving into an absolutely explosive report. We're talking about a story that alleges a massive scandal, one that goes right to the very top of China's military leadership. It's a wild tale of a trusted general, a shocking betrayal, and a very high-stakes game of international espionage. So, let's get right into it.
So that's the central claim from the report we're looking at today. And that is a huge statement. This isn't being framed as some minor incident. The story suggests this could be a historic breach, something that strikes right at the heart of a global superpower.
So where does a story like this even begin? Well, it starts with a known fact. A top Chinese general, the army chief, was suddenly and very publicly removed from his job. Now, the official story is one thing, but the alleged reason why he vanished? That's where this narrative takes a seriously dramatic turn.
And to really get the weight of this, you have to understand the personal connection here. The story we're exploring claims this wasn't just some random officer. This was supposedly a man from President Xi's inner circle, a childhood friend he had personally promoted. If true, that makes the alleged betrayal it's staggering.
Okay, so this slide really lays it all out. You've got two completely different realities. On one side, you have Beijing's official explanation, a pretty standard case of corruption. But on the other side, you have this counter-narrative, supposedly coming from U.S. intelligence sources that paints a much, much crazier picture. A top-tier CIA asset right at the peak of China's military.
And that brings us right to the heart of this whole espionage drama. Let's really try to unpack this central allegation. How could the man who's basically the second in command of the entire military possibly be a foreign spy?
The report we're looking at really hammers this point home. We're not talking about some mid-level manager here. As army chief, this guy was second only to President Xi in the entire military chain of command. Think about that. If this is true, the breach wasn't just in the system. It was at the very, very top.
And a report frames this as this incredible masterstroke of intelligence gathering. It's presented as the latest and maybe greatest example of the CIA's ability to get inside foreign governments at the highest levels. So not just a one-time lucky break, but part of a bigger pattern.
So okay, if we follow the spy claim, the next question is pretty obvious, right? What was he selling? Well, according to this report, the secrets were about as sensitive as it gets.
According to the story we're examining, this wasn't about some deep-seated ideology. Nah, the alleged motive was way simpler and a whole lot bigger. Money. A financial reward on a scale that's almost hard to wrap your head around. Yeah, forget millions. The story we're breaking down claims the price tag for these secrets was in the billions of dollars, a number that just goes to show how incredibly valuable this information was supposed to be. And look at this. The allegations go way beyond just selling some data. The report claims this was a huge, multi-layered conspiracy. We're talking nuclear secrets, sensitive tech info, and even a plot to start a rebellion. It also suggests he wasn't working alone, that a whole network of officials might have been involved.
Okay, but this brings us to a really fascinating, kind of confusing part of the story. If the United States had such an amazing spy deep inside China's military command, why on earth would they let the world know he existed?
It's the central puzzle here, isn't it? It just doesn't seem to make any sense. But the report we're dissecting suggests this wasn't an accident. Not at all. It argues that the leak itself was a calculated, strategic move.
So get this. The theory is that the spy actually became more valuable after he was exposed. It was a power play, plain and simple. It was meant to show the world that China's secure system had holes, to create paranoia and mistrust inside Beijing's leadership, and to send a very loud message about how deep U.S. intelligence can really go. Maybe the most mind-blowing part of this whole story, as the source tells it, is just how could something like this have even been possible in the first place?
The report really drives this point home. It says this just shouldn't have happened. China's state surveillance system is described as one of the most intense and sophisticated on the entire planet. So the idea of a top general secretly working for another country, it seems almost unbelievable.
And here's another interesting twist in the story. Apparently, he wasn't caught in some classic spy versus spy movie scene. Instead, the country's own nuclear agency supposedly started noticing anomalies, that highly classified information was somehow, some way, getting out.
So let's wrap up with the fallout from all these allegations. What are the consequences of a scandal this huge? And what does it tell us about the, fragile state of global security?
The source argues the impact here isn't just about one guy.
It's about a potential crack in the very foundation of the Chinese state. It raises all these questions about leadership, about military loyalty, and about whether that super secure system is really as impenetrable as everyone thought.
And here's one final piece of analysis from the source material that's really interesting. The thinking is that, yeah, the breach was bad, really bad, but Chinese authorities probably managed to stop it before the most critical, game-changing secrets got out. And the proof? The US hasn't made some big geopolitical move that would suggest they suddenly have an unbeatable upper hand.
And all of that leaves us with this final, pretty unsettling question posed by the report. If a president's own childhood friend, one of his most trusted generals, can be bought, then who really is truly secure? It's a question that goes way beyond China and makes you rethink the very idea of loyalty and security in the world today.